This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. You speak too soon. You tell your dreams before they're built. You spill your vision into the street before you've even planted it in the soil. And that, more than failure, more than rejection, more than bad luck, is why success keeps slipping out of your hands. Now let me ask you something straight. Why do you speak of things not yet born? Why do you announce plans you haven't yet obeyed? Why do you hand your deepest purpose to men who ain't never built a thing in their lives? I'll tell you why. You've been tricked into thinking words themselves are achievement, but they ain't. Words are seeds, and if you keep scattering them on bare rock, don't be surprised when nothing grows. Here's the law most folks ignore. The more you talk, the weaker you become. Every boast, every early declaration leaks your power into the dust. Announce too soon and you'll feel the pride of applause without the fruit of labor. Speak of victories not yet won and your mind believes the work is already finished. That pride robs you of the hunger to keep grinding. That's why your projects die in the cradle. That's why your grand ideas wither before they bear fruit. But if you'll listen tonight, if you'll sit by this fire and let these words sink into your bones, everything can change. If you hold your purpose like sacred fire and stop spilling it into idle talk, you'll protect your power. You'll multiply your belief. You'll move like a man under law, building in silence until the day the results themselves roar louder than any speech. So I'll ask you plain, right here, right now, do you want results or reactions? Do you want the harvest, or do you want the sound of hollow hands clapping before the work is done? If it results you want, then stop telling the world what you're going to do. Sit down, stay silent, let this law root itself in you. Every time you speak too soon, you spill the seed before the soil is ready. You weaken it. The world has trained you to shout your goals, to announce your resolutions, to go running to social halls and tell folks what you'll do. But the world lied to you. The most powerful men in history did not trumpet their plans. They walked in silence. They moved in structure. They built in the shadows until their work itself lit the sky. Speech is sacred. It is not idle chatter. Every word you speak writes an instruction into your mind, builds or destroys belief, commands your spirit either toward discipline or toward weakness. That's why premature talk is poison. When you boast of things not yet complete, when you share visions not yet forged in fire, you scatter your force like chaff in the wind. For a moment you feel proud, but afterward you feel empty. The hunger is gone, the energy leaks, and the dream dies. Great men understood this. They never confused silence with weakness. Their silence was command. Abraham Lincoln spent his nights riding alone, hated by many, doubted by most, but he moved in quiet strength, speaking only when the work itself was ready to reveal. John D. Rockefeller, richest man of his era, sealed deals in corridors no one else knew existed. He did not speak until the acquisition was done. Thomas Edison burned through years of mockery and failure, but he did not call for applause until the light itself shone on the world. Henry Ford reshaped industry in barns and back rooms before the newspapers even knew his name. They did not announce. They executed. Their silence was power, not shame, and because of it, their results thundered. Now you must learn the same. You must hold your mouth closed when your plan is still forming. You must stop casting your vision before small minds who cannot see beyond the horizon of their own fear. You must learn to guard your seed, water it, tend it, until it is strong enough to speak for itself. King Solomon said, "Even a fool is considered wise when he holds his tongue." He knew that silence is a shield, a fortress that keeps your energy from leaking into the ears of those who cannot understand it. And Napoleon Hill, who studied the greatest builders of his age, wrote that the moment you declare a goal without action, you weaken its power. Thought is wealth, speech is law, but only action makes it flesh. So here is the truth you must brand into your heart. Stop speaking for applause. Stop seeking validation from the crowd. Your greatness does not need their permission. Your plan does not need their encouragement. The oak tree does not ask the meadow if it may grow. It roots itself in silence until its branches demand attention. Do the same. Let your silence guard you. Let your silence feed you. Let your silence multiply your strength until the work itself cannot be ignored. And when that day comes, when the results stand tall in front of the world, you won't need to explain, you won't need to announce, you won't need to justify. The silence will have spoken for you. The harvest will be your testimony. And those who doubted will sit in the shadow of what you built, wondering how you did it. The reason silence holds such power is simple, yet most men never see it. Speech leaks energy. Every time you speak of a plan not yet lived, your mind feels the satisfaction of having already done it. You get the same reward in your nerves as if you had already swung the hammer, driven the cattle, struck the oil. And with that false reward, your hunger dies. The fire that could have built a fortune gets spent on applause instead of action. That is why the wise keep their mouths shut until the work is ready. King Solomon wrote that death and life are in the power of the tongue. He wasn't speaking in riddles. He meant that every word is a seed planted in your heart. Speak weak, plant weakness. Speak idle, reap idleness. Speak of visions too soon, and you scatter the seed before it even sunk into soil. But guard your tongue, hold your vision, and water it with work, and the harvest must come. Most men ruin themselves not by lack of opportunity, but by lack of discipline in speech. They tell their plans to friends who mock. They announce their goals to crowds who neither care nor understand. They beg for validation, and in the process they trade strength for noise. This is why you must learn to be still, not because silence is easy, but because silence protects. Let me draw you a picture. Imagine a prospector striking gold in the hills. If he shouts to the valley before staking his claim, what happens? 1,000 men rush the site and his fortune is gone. But the wise prospector works in quiet, secures his ground, builds his defenses, and only then lets the news spread. By that time, the gold is already his. That's what silence does. It protects your claim before the vultures circle. The world is full of small minds, envious hearts, and voices quick to discourage. When you cast your dream before them, you give them power to plant doubt in your soil. Doubt is a poison. One sentence from a sneering man can undo weeks of faith if you allow it. That's why true builders guard their vision like a treasure chest. They let no one touch it until the lock is forged and the walls are raised. History is full of such men. Nikola Tesla worked alone in his lab, mocked and ignored, but he did not beg the world for validation. He built until the world could no longer deny him. Andrew Carnegie struck deals in silence, moved steel through unseen channels, and only when the towers rose did men realize his hand had built them. Even Warren Buffett, the quiet sage of our age, makes moves silently, patiently, without broadcast. By the time others notice, the fortune is already settled. Noise is cheap, execution is priceless, and silence is the bridge between the two. But let me tell you why silence is also strength in spirit. When you speak little, you conserve power. Your mind grows sharper, your heart grows steady, your actions grow deliberate. Men of noise spend their force on words. Men of silence store their force for deeds. And when the day of action comes, the silent man rides with 10 times the strength of the talker. The cowboy who sits quiet by the fire thinking on his trail, planning his herd, is more dangerous than the loud braggart in the saloon. The braggart announces what he'll do. The quiet man saddles his horse before dawn and does it. And by the time the braggart is done boasting, the silent one has already taken the land. This is the law. Speak little, move much. Guard your plan until it stands. Let your results be your announcement. And yet I warn you, silence is not cowardice. Do not mistake it. Silence is command. It is mastery. It is the steady hand that wastes no bullet, the calm rider who doesn't spook his horse, the builder who does not reveal his foundation until the walls rise. So train yourself, friend. When the urge comes to announce your dream, bite your tongue. When the itch rises to share your plan for applause, remember the harvest is not ready. Write it down in secret instead. Speak it only to yourself or to the God who planted it in you. Let your subconscious hear it, but guard it from the noise of men. Every great work requires incubation. Just as a seed must stay buried in soil, unseen, until the roots anchor and the stem is strong enough to break the surface, so too must your plan stay hidden until it is ready to stand the storm. Break the soil too early, and the sprout dies. Protect it in silence, and it grows into an oak. And when the oak finally rises, tall and unshakable, no man can argue with it. They can doubt your words, they can mock your hopes, but they cannot deny your results. That is the beauty of silence. It makes your work undeniable. So I say again, don't seek reactions. Don't chase claps. Don't beg the crowd to believe in you. Instead, be still. Build in secret. Work when no one is watching. Let your silence do the heavy lifting. Let your silence guard your fire. Let your silence be the forge in which your future takes shape. And one day, when the world wakes up and sees what you have built, they'll ask, where did this come from? And you won't need to answer. The work will speak. The results will thunder. And the silence that once seemed strange will prove itself to have been your greatest weapon. Silence, friend, is not just an idea. It is a discipline, a law, a way of walking. The same way a rider trains his horse, you must train your tongue. The same way a farmer guards his seed, you must guard your plan. A careless word has destroyed more futures than any drought, war, or storm, and a man who learns to hold his peace until the right time is a man who cannot be stopped. Now let me give you the first law of silence. Keep your seed in the ground until it roots. A seed ripped from the soil will never grow, and when you speak your plans too soon, you rip the seed of your vision out of the soil of your heart. It will wither before it has a chance to root. Keep it buried, keep it watered, let it grow strong in the dark. When it breaks the surface, then and only then can it endure the sun and the storm. The second law: never ask small minds for counsel on big dreams. Most men are content with survival. They have never stretched themselves, never risked, never sacrificed to build anything beyond comfort. When you share your vision with them, you invite their fears into your field. They cannot see beyond their limits, so they will tell you your dream is foolish. They will dress their envy as advice. They will poison your soil with doubt. Guard yourself from this. Ask counsel only from those who have built, from those who understand the weight of dreams, and until you find such men, walk alone. The third law: silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of strength. A man may speak little but still carry the force of thunder in his actions. Silence does not mean cowardice, it means command. The general does not explain his strategy to the soldiers. The craftsman does not reveal his blueprint to strangers. The wise man does not spill his vision to the street. They act, they build, they reveal only when the foundation is solid. And the fourth law: results will always outshine announcements. 1,000 words about what you will do will never carry the weight of a single deed done. Talk all you want about planting a field, it's the harvest that proves it. Announce all you want about writing a book until the pages are bound, the words are dust. Let the work speak. Let the finished deed be the voice. Then silence will have carried you further than 1,000 shouts ever could. Think on this. Abraham Lincoln kept his plans hidden even from his closest allies because he knew the storm of opinions would only slow his resolve. John D. Rockefeller didn't boast about acquisitions until the ink was dry and the company already his. Warren Buffett still to this day moves in silence. He doesn't tell the world where his money will go until the stake is planted, and by then, the profit is his. These men obeyed the laws of silence, and because of it, they controlled empires while others wasted their force on noise. Now let me give you a cowboy truth. Out on the frontier, the loudest man was rarely the strongest. The man who bragged in the saloon about how many cattle he'd roped was often the one who couldn't ride at dawn. But the quiet rider, the one who kept his eyes low and his plans steady, that was the man who held land by winter. He didn't have to tell you what he was going to do. By the time you looked up, the work was already done. His herd was fat, his fences strong, his barns full. That is the power of silence. So how do you practice it? Simple but not easy. Write your plan in private. Ink it where only your eyes can see. Commit it to your heart, speak it only to yourself and to God. Act on it daily, quietly, without fanfare. And when the urge rises to speak it for applause, remind yourself applause will not buy your freedom, applause will not feed your children, applause will not build your dream. Only finished work will. Silence is a furnace. It heats your vision in secret until the metal is hot enough to forge. Break that furnace open too soon and you lose the fire. But guard it, tend it, keep the heat steady, and when the iron is ready, you strike and the world sees the blade you have forged. Now don't mistake me that there will be times to speak. There will be moments when your voice is needed, when the trumpet must sound. But if you learn the discipline of silence, your words will carry 10 times the weight because they'll be backed by proof. A silent man who speaks with results behind him is feared. A noisy man with nothing built is ignored. So take this with you, here by the fire while the rain drums steady on the roof. Stay silent until the work is done. Guard your dream as a mother guards her child. Protect your vision as a prospector guards his claim. Do not leak your fire into idle talk. Do not cast your pearls before swine. Wait until the deed is finished, then let the results roar. That, friend, is how kings move. That is how fortunes are built. That is how men rise. And when your day comes, when the work is unveiled, you'll see the wisdom of silence. You won't need to prove a thing. You won't need to explain. You won't need to beg belief. The world will look at the harvest in your hands and know, without a word, that you have mastered the law. Now hear me out, because this is the part most men never live long enough to understand. Silence is not only about protecting your plan, it is about protecting your soul. The words you speak don't just reach the ears of others, they echo back into your own mind. Every time you declare something you have not yet done, you build a house of air and then wonder why it collapses in the storm. But every time you guard your vision, keep it close, and feed it with action instead of chatter, you lay stone on stone, foundation on foundation. That's how legacies are built. A man who learns silence becomes unshakable.
He is not swayed by the opinions of the crowd because the crowd doesn't even know his hand until the work is finished. He is not weakened by the flattery of applause because he did not announce his aim. He is not destroyed by the poison of doubters because he gave them nothing to bite. His silence has already secured him before the noise ever reached his door. Think of the oak tree again. It grows in secret for years, roots digging deep, unseen. The farmer walks past, the traveler rides by, none of them aware of the giant being formed beneath the soil. Then one day, almost without warning, the oak bursts forth, tall and strong, branches reaching for the sky. By then, no wind can topple it, no critic can shrink it. That is the way of your dream, if you will only let it grow in silence until the time is right. And remember this, silence itself is wealth. The man who can keep his counsel, who does not waste his energy in idle talk, will always have more power to invest in action. That is why Warren Buffett speaks sparingly, but when he does, the world listens. That is why Solomon wrote that even a fool seems wise when he holds his tongue. That is why the old cowboys said, never waste words when a nod will do. They understood that speech is currency. Spend it carelessly, and you'll end poor. Guard it, invest it only when necessary, and you'll be rich beyond measure. There are a reason the richest builders of history all walked the same road. Rockefeller kept quiet until the deed was signed. Carnegie moved in silence until the steel towers stood. Ford worked in barns and sheds until the machines roared to life. Edison toiled in the dark until the world was lit. None of them wasted their power on early applause. They let their results thunder. That thunder echoes still. So let me give you one final command, and take it to heart. Seal your lips until the work is done. Stop asking others what they think of your dream. Stop posting promises to men who have no power to fulfill them. Stop leaking your sacred fire into the hands of strangers. Guard it, hide it, feed it, grow it, and when it is ready, unleash it like lightning across the sky. Do not fear silence. Embrace it. Let the world understate you. Let them think you are idle. Let them believe you have nothing planned. While they waste their days in chatter, you will be building. While they scatter their strength in gossip, you will be forging an empire. And when the time is right, your silence will roar louder than their noise ever could. Legacy is not built in speeches. Legacy is built in deeds. Your children, your grandchildren, the generations yet unborn will not remember what you said. They will remember what you built. They will walk in the shade of the oak you planted. They will eat from the harvest you guarded in silence. They will inherit the fortune that sprang from the words you did not waste. So tonight, here by the fire with rain pattering steady on the earth, let this law sink into your bones. The less you speak of unfinished things, the more power you will have to finish them. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is strength. Silence is wealth. And when you rise tomorrow, do not run to announce. Do not beg for belief. Do not scatter your seed into the wind. Instead, hold it close, guard it, work it, and let the day come when your results stand like a mountain, undeniable, unshakable, unmovable. Then, and only then, will your silence speak for you. For the world will look upon what you have built and whisper, how did he do it? And you, friend, won't need to answer. The silence will have been your answer all along. There's another truth riding beside silence, and that truth is patience. Silence without patience is just holding your tongue in misery, but silence with patience, that power. That a man who knows when to strike, who knows when to wait, who knows that every seed has its season. You see, wealth doesn't show up all at once. It don't come running because you yelled for it. It grows like a harvest. You plant the seed, you guard it in silence, and then you wait. You don't dig it up every day to see if it sprouted. You don't go around telling the neighbors how tall it's gonna get before it even broken the soil. No, you wait. You trust the process. You trust the law. And in time, the harvest comes. The impatient man wastes himself. He announces before the work is done, and when the applause fades, so does his drive. He plants a seed, then rips it up the next day, wondering why it never grew. He spends his strength in noise, his energy in rushing, his life in chasing shortcuts. And when the years pass, he looks back and wonders why nothing took root. But the patient man, the silent man, he moves different. He knows timing is everything. He knows wealth flows to those who wait while others grow weary. He understands that storms must pass, that soil must settle, that roots must spread deep before the tree can rise. He lets the fools mock, lets the doubters jeer, lets the crowd chatter. While they burn out in noise, he builds steady in silence. And when the time is right, his work rises like a mountain, immovable, undeniable. Warren Buffett once said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. That, not just about stocks, that about life itself. Money, power, opportunity, they all flow toward the man who can wait, who can hold his silence, who can keep building when no one claps. Think of Solomon, the wisest king. He didn't rush into every battle. He didn't announce every plan. He studied, he observed, he let the truth reveal itself. That patience drew riches to him like rivers flowing to the sea. Think of the old ranchers out west. The loud ones bragged about how fat their herds would be come winter. The quiet ones just kept tending, kept feeding, kept guarding. And when the snows came, it was the quiet rancher with barns full and cattle alive, while the braggart begged for grain. Patience and silence, together they are a fortress. The patient man wastes nothing. He speaks little. He acts only when the time is right, and so he conserves his strength while others squander theirs. He builds slowly, deliberately, while others chase quick wins. And when the years roll by, his fortune stands tall, while theirs lies scattered in the wind. Now don't mistake patience for laziness. Patience is not sitting idle hoping fate delivers. Patience is steady labor without the need for applause. Patience is plowing the field in silence, knowing the rain will come in its time. Patience is saving and investing quietly while others gamble and boast. Patience is building stone on stone while others chase shadows. And hear the hardest truth. Silence and patience will make you misunderstood. The noisy crowd will call you slow. They'll say you lack ambition. They'll whisper that you're not doing enough. But ignore them. For when the storm clears and your work stands, those same voices will fall silent in awe. Results are the only rebuttal you'll ever need. So hold fast. Guard your tongue. Guard your dream. Let silence be your shield and patience be your compass. Keep building, keep planting, keep watering. And one day, when the time is right, you'll wake to find your barn full, your fields ripe, your fortune heavy. And you'll know it was silence that protected you and patience that rewarded you. For the world belongs not to the loud nor to the quick, but to the silent and the steady. The oak outlasts the weed. The river carves the canyon not in days but in centuries. And wealth, true wealth, flows to the man who knows how to wait in silence until the time is right. Risk is the next rider on this trail, and you can't avoid him. A man who seeks wealth without risk is like a cowboy who wants cattle without leaving the ranch. Every fortune ever carved out of this earth was carved with risk as the blade. But here the secret most don't understand: silence and patience tame risk. See, the loud man takes foolish risk. He announces his schemes before they're ripe. He leaps without study, and he falls without defense. He risks for applause, not for purpose. And when he loses everything, because his energy was scattered long before the storm hit. But the silent man, the disciplined man, he studies risk. He rides out ahead, scouts the terrain, watches the weather. He doesn't shout about what he'll do, he just does it. And when he risks, it is with calculation. His silence protects him, his patience guides him, and so what looks like boldness to others is, in truth, certainty. That's the difference. Risk without discipline is gambling. Risk with discipline is wealth. And every man who ever made his mark knew this. Andrew Carnegie staked his fortune on steel when others feared iron would rust. Rockefeller risked capital in oil wells while others laughed at black muck. Buffett risked reputation on quiet investments others called foolish. But each of them moved not in noise, not in haste, but in silent, studied discipline. They risked when the odds favored them, and their patience carried them through storms.
Discipline, now there the iron spine beneath it all. Without discipline, silence is wasted, patience turns to idleness, and risk destroys. Discipline is the law that keeps the rider in the saddle when the horse bucks. Discipline is the grit that drives the plow even when the rain won't come. Discipline is the reason some men finish what others only talk about. You cannot master wealth without discipline. And discipline begins with your mouth. Hold your tongue when it itches to speak. Hold your hand when it itches to spend. Hold your mind when it wanders into fear. That discipline, that command, every dollar saved, every hour invested, every temptation resisted, those are bricks in the fortress of your fortune. King Solomon said, "He who rules his spirit is mightier than he who takes a city." That is discipline. Conquer yourself, and the world is yours. Fail to conquer yourself, and the world will master you. And mastery, that's the crown of it all. Mastery is not one victory, not one fortune, not one stroke of luck. Mastery is consistency, day by day, year by year, storm by storm. Mastery is the rancher who still rises at dawn after 30 years, the investor who still reads and studies while others sleep, the craftsman who still sharpens his tools though he could hire another. Mastery is the long trail. It is the man who never quits refining his thought, never stops honing his plan, never lets comfort dull his edge. It is wealth not as numbers, but as character. For money comes and goes, but mastery remains. And here the truth most never face. Mastery is silent. You will not see the master boasting. You will not hear him clamoring for praise. His life itself is the testimony. His barns, his books, his children, his name, these speak for him. He has no need for noise. He has no need to prove. His mastery is its own proof. So tie it all together now. Silence guards your seed. Patience grows it. Risk tests it. Discipline strengthens it. And mastery crowns it. This is the code of wealth, the law of abundance, the path every giant of history has walked. It is not glamour, it is not noise, it is not luck. It is law, written into the bones of the earth. And if you follow it, if you hold it, if you live it, then wealth in overflowing measure will find you. But you must choose. Will you be the noisy man in the saloon bragging of fortunes never built? Or will you be the silent rider by the fire, patient, disciplined, mastering himself, building quietly until the harvest shakes the ground? The choice is yours. But only one road leads to wealth that cannot be spent in a lifetime. And when your children ask how you did it, you won't need to give them a long speech. You'll just smile, tip your hat to the silence that kept you, and let the barns full of plenty speak for themselves. Silence, my friend, is more than strategy, more than wealth, more than power. Silence is freedom. The man who learns to master his tongue masters his destiny. He is no longer chained to the opinions of others, no longer enslaved by the hunger for applause, no longer weakened by the need to explain himself. He moves as he wills, unseen until the time is right, free from the noise that binds the crowd. Noise is bondage. Look around, and you'll see it plain. Men spend their lives announcing what they'll do, posting every thought, begging for every cheer. They are bound by the eyes of others, shackled by the need to be seen. They mistake noise for proof. And when storms come, their noise collapses, leaving them exposed, powerless, forgotten. But the silent man walks free. He owes no one explanation, for his work is his explanation. He asks no one approval, for his results command respect. He fears no critic, for the critic never knew his plan to begin with. He is free to act, free to build, free to rise, because his silence has shielded him from the snares of noise. And that, my friend, is wisdom. King Solomon said that there is a time to speak and a time to keep silent, knowing which is which. That is wisdom. The fool cannot hold his tongue. The fool squanders his seed, wastes his force, and then wonders why his field is barren. The wise man holds, guards, nurtures, waits, and in time his barns overflow, his table is full, and his enemies sit in silence before him. This is not just about money. Money is but a shadow. This is about character, about building a legacy that outlives you. The man of silence passes down more than gold. He passes down discipline, patience, wisdom. He shows his sons and daughters that greatness is not in talk but in action. He leaves behind not only wealth but a way of life, a code. Think of it, your children, walking in the shade of trees you planted, eating from fields you tilled, drinking from wells you dug, all because you kept silent while others wasted their strength in chatter. They will not remember your words. They will remember your works. And that is freedom. That is legacy. That is eternal wealth. So what do you do now? You begin small. You practice silence. The next time you feel the urge to boast, hold it. The next time you want to announce a plan not yet born, bury it deeper in your heart. The next time you ache for applause, remind yourself that applause will not build your barn. Applause will not feed your family. Applause will not shape your destiny. Only action will. Write your vision in secret. Guard it like treasure. Water it with patience. Test it with discipline. And one day, when it is ripe, unveil it not with words, but with results so undeniable that no man can question you. Let your silence speak louder than their shouts. Let your work outlive their noise. And when you reach the end of your trail, when the fire burns low and the rain slows to a whisper, you'll look back and see the truth. Every barn full of grain, every herd fat on the land, every dollar in the bank, every smile on your children's faces, it all came from silence. From the discipline to keep your seed buried until the harvest, from the patience to wait for the right time, from the mastery to hold your power until the day came to reveal it. That, my friend, is the secret wisdom of kings. That is the law of the silent rider. That is the code of wealth written in fire and rain. So carry it with you. Speak less, build more, move in silence. Let your results thunder. And when the world asks how you did it, you won't need to say a word. The silence will have been your greatest speech. Persistence, friend, is the iron beneath it all. Without persistence, silence rots into inaction. Patience turns to idleness. Discipline grows brittle, and mastery never arrives. Persistence is the grit in the teeth, the steady step in the mud, the refusal to quit when the trail grows long. Every man who ever struck gold first struck failure a dozen times. Edison failed 10,000 times before the light burned. Ford First Company collapsed in shame before the Model T rolled out. Carnegie faced strikes and storms before steel built his fortune. Rockefeller was mocked as a fool before oil turned to an empire. What bound them together wasn't luck, wasn't noise, wasn't applause. It was persistence. They kept on when weaker men sat down. Solomon said, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. That persistence, not perfection, not ease, but rising again and again and again. Wealth belongs not to the swift nor to the strong, but to the man who refuses to stay down. Now let me tell you a cowboy truth. Out on the range, storms will scatter your herd. Rustlers will strike in the dark. Rivers will swell. Fences will break, and your back will ache from dawn to dusk. But the rancher who persists, the one who rides through the rain, who rebuilds the fence, who tracks the cattle until they're found, that man keeps his land, keeps his herd, keeps his fortune. The one who quits, he tells stories in the saloon about what he almost had. Persistence is not glamorous. It is not loud. It is not celebrated in the moment. Persistence is sweat in the dark, grit in the storm, labor with no applause. But persistence is also the great separator. It is the line between those who wish and those who win. And hear the truth, persistence must be built daily. You do not wake one morning with the strength to endure a lifetime of storms. You build it little by little, each time you refuse to quit, each time you rise after falling, each time you take one more step when your legs beg for rest. That daily persistence forges a man who cannot be broken. The impatient man quits when results don't come quickly. The noisy man quits when applause fades. The undisciplined man quits when the work grows heavy. But the persistent man, he does not quit. He may bend, he may bleed, he may stagger, but he does not quit. And that persistence over years compounds into fortune, into mastery, into legacy. Buffett calls it compounding, the slow, patient, relentless growth of wealth. But compounding does not happen without persistence. Quit too soon, and you never see the harvest. Persist, and what began as a trickle becomes a flood. Persist, and the seed becomes an oak. Persist, and the quiet rider becomes a legend. Now let me warn you, persistence will make you lonely. The crowd does not persist. The crowd quits when it's hard, laughs when it's painful, mocks when it's long. They will tell you to stop, to give up, to settle. They will call you stubborn, foolish, mad. But the man who persists does not answer. He keeps building, keeps riding, keeps rising. And when his barns are full and his herd fat, the crowd falls silent. Persistence is the test of faith. Do you truly believe in your vision? Then you will persist when it fails. Do you truly believe in your destiny? Then you will persist when mocked. Do you truly believe in the law of wealth? Then you will persist when storms strip you bare. For belief without persistence is just talk, but belief with persistence is creation. So here is the law. Persist. Persist when you fall. Persist when you fail. Persist when the night is long and the fire burns low. Persist until the vision in your heart becomes the harvest in your hand. For wealth, true wealth, does not come to the clever. It does not come to the lucky. It comes to the man who persists longer than the storm, longer than the doubt, longer than the noise. The world belongs to the one who refuses to quit. And when your trail ends, when the fire crackles its last and the rain slows to silence, your story will not be that of a man who almost built, almost won, almost lived. Your story will be of a man who persisted, who rose again, who finished. And that story will outlive you, echoing in the voices of your children, carved into the land you tamed, whispered in the halls of time. Here was a man who never quit. Comfort, friend, is a sly outlaw. It don't ride in guns blazing, it don't storm the gates. It slips in quiet like a snake in tall grass, whispering sweet lies. You've done enough. Rest, settle, ease your burden. And most men fall for it. They mistake comfort for reward, when really it's the noose tightening around their ambition. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Comfort lulls the warrior to sleep while the battle still rages. Comfort tricks the rancher into leaving his herd untended while the wolves circle. Comfort tells the builder to quit when the foundation is laid, never finishing the house. It feels good in the moment, but it robs you of the future. You see, poverty does not destroy as many men as comfort does. Poverty sharpens hunger, it drives men to rise, but comfort dulls the edge, softens the will, and kills the fire without a fight. A poor man knows he must work to eat. A comfortable man thinks he can eat forever, and so he starves slowly while smiling. King Solomon warned of this when he wrote, "The sluggard folds his hands and poverty comes like a thief in the night." The sluggard ain't always lazy in the open. Sometimes he works hard until he tastes success. Then in his comfort he folds his hands. He relaxes thinking the harvest will last forever. And poverty sneaks back, silent as dusk, reclaiming everything he built. History is full of men who built fortunes only to lose them because of comfort. They stopped growing. They stopped stretching. They stopped hungering. They thought the gold pile was high enough, the barns full enough, the empire strong enough. But the moment you stop building, you start dying. Comfort destroys kingdoms. Rome fell not because of enemies at the gate, but because of softness inside the walls. Generals traded discipline for luxury. Citizens traded duty for entertainment. The empire drowned not in battle, but in comfort. And the same is true of every man. The moment you choose comfort over growth, you begin your fall. Buffett once said the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. Comfort works the same. At first it feels like a soft blanket, harmless, deserved, but slowly it binds you, making you weaker each day until one morning you wake and realize you can no longer rise. Now let me tell you cowboy plain. Out on the range, the rider who lingers by the fire too long loses the herd. The one who says, "I'll rest a little more," wakes to find the cattle scattered and the fences down. Comfort is costly. Every hour of ease beyond what is earned steals twice its worth in future labor. But don't mistake me, rest ain't evil. A man must sleep, must eat, must sharpen his saw. But rest is a tool, not a home. It is a pause between battles, not the end of the war. Comfort as a servant refreshes, comfort as a master destroys. So what must you do? You must learn to hate comfort when it whispers too long. When your work is unfinished, reject ease. When your dream is unbuilt, despise luxury. When your hunger fades, stir it again, push farther, stretch longer, build higher, for wealth belongs not to the man who settles, but to the man who keeps growing. Look at the oak tree. It never stops reaching, season after season, year after year, until it towers over the field. If it had chosen comfort, stopped pushing its roots deeper, stopped stretching toward the sun, it would have withered. Growth is life, comfort is death in disguise, discipline is the antidote, persistence is the shield, and silence is the watchman. Together they keep you from being lulled into the trap, for comfort will come knocking. It always does. And you must slam the door shut until the day the work is truly finished. And even then you must be wary, for the work of a man of wealth is never truly done, it simply shifts from one field to another. Legacy demands discomfort. Fortune demands sacrifice. Freedom demands vigilance. You cannot own wealth and comfort at the same time. Choose wealth and comfort will one day follow, but only as a servant. Choose comfort and wealth will flee forever. So hear the law burned into the night sky like lightning. Beware the danger of comfort. It has slain more kings than war, toppled more fortunes than famine, ruined more men than failure. Stay hungry, stay building, stay stretching, and let comfort serve you but never rule you. For when your days are done and the fire burns low, you will not be remembered for how comfortably you lived. You will be remembered for what you built, what you gave, what you mastered. Comfort leaves no legacy. Greatness does. Focus, my friend, is the sharp edge of wealth. It is the difference between a wandering drifter and a man who carves his mark deep into the land. Most men scatter themselves thin, a little of this, a little of that, chasing every new trail like coyotes sniffing scraps. But the man who focuses, the man who takes one aim and pours his whole being into it, that man moves mountains. Wealth does not belong to the scattered. Wealth belongs to the concentrated. Think of the sun. Spread wide across the sky, it warms the earth. But focus it through a glass and it sets fire. That is focus. That is what happens when you take your thought, your energy, your labor, and point it in one direction without wavering. Andrew Carnegie said the way to become rich was simple. Put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. Most men laughed at him, but his steel towers proved him right. Rockefeller didn't dabble in 50 things, he poured his entire force into oil. Henry Ford didn't chase every invention, he built cars until every farmer, every worker, every family could own one. Edison spent years locked on light before he gave it to the world. Focus, not chance, carved their fortunes. But the noisy man cannot focus. He's too busy chasing applause. The impatient man cannot focus. He wants a dozen harvests at once, and so he plants shallow and reaps nothing. The comfortable man cannot focus. He grows soft, easily distracted by ease. Only the disciplined, only the persistent, only the silent can focus, and that is why wealth always flows to them. Focus begins with decision, not a half-hearted wish, but a firm declaration. This is my aim, and nothing will turn me from it. Most men never decide. They drift from one idea to the next, carried like tumbleweed by the winds of opportunity. They never root, they never persist, and so they never rise. But the man who decides, who chooses one path and holds it, will outpace them all. Now hear this. Focus is sacrifice. You cannot hold 10 trails at once. You cannot chase every herd. You must choose. You must let go of the good to seize the great. And that frightens most men. They fear missing out. They fear being wrong. So they dabble in everything and master nothing. But the focused man understands. It is better to master one field than to wander through 100 empty. Focus is also protection. A scattered mind is easy prey. The enemy of wealth, doubt, distraction, temptation finds easy ground in a man who is unfocused. But the focused man, like a rider with eyes fixed on the horizon, does not waver. Storms may rage, critics may shout, opportunities may tempt, but he stays the trail. And in time, that trail delivers him to fortune. Solomon wrote, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." That, the truth. The unfocused man is unstable, unreliable, unfruitful. But the man whose eye is single, whose thought is definite, whose labor is concentrated, that man is strong, immovable, inevitable. Think of a rifle and a shotgun. The shotgun scatters pellets wide, hoping one may hit. The rifle fires one bullet with precision. Which one brings down the prize at a distance? The rifle. Which one wins wealth across time? The focused mind. Now let me give you a cowboy truth. A rider with no trail in mind ends up lost in circles. He burns his horse, wastes his provisions, and never reaches water. But a rider who fixes his eye on one canyon, one river, one landmark will find his way through. Focus saves him. Focus delivers him. Focus feeds him. Wealth is no different. Choose your aim. Fix your eye. Pour yourself into it. Do not scatter. Do not drift. Do not waver. And here is the secret. Once you master one aim, once you've carved one fortune, you may then expand, branch out, spread your roots, but only after the first oak has grown tall, only after the first herd is fat, only after the first basket is guarded. Diversification is for preserving wealth. Focus is for creating it. Never confuse the two. So here is the law. Focus your thought, your labor, your speech, your life. Say no to 1,000 distractions so you can say yes to the one thing that matters. Narrow your aim like a rifle and fire with certainty. And in time, your results will tower so high that no one can deny them. For the world does not reward the scattered, it rewards the focused. It does not remember the dabblers, it remembers the builders. And when your fire burns steady, when your trail is straight, when your results roar, the world will know. Here was a man who focused, and in his focus he found fortune. Imagination, my friend, is the wellspring of every fortune. Before the steel tower rose, it was imagined. Before the light bulb glowed, it was imagined. Before the railroads crossed the plains, before the oil flowed from the ground, before the automobile rolled down the dirt road, all of it lived first in the unseen world of thought. Every fortune begins twice, once in the mind, once in the hand. Without imagination, there is nothing to build. Without action, imagination rots, but together they forge the impossible. Most men never learn to use imagination. They think it belongs to children, to poets, to dreamers who waste their time. They trust only what they see, only what they can touch. And so they live small, because what they see is small. But the great ones, the Edisons, the Fords, the Rockefellers, the Buffetts, the Solomons, they understood imagination as the true capital. They saw what others could not. They held visions in their hearts until the world itself had no choice but to make room for them. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is not fantasy. It is structured vision. It is the ability to take nothing but thought and clothe it in form. It is wealth's birthplace. Henry Ford imagined a car for the common man while others only imagined faster horses. Edison imagined light filling every home when others cursed the darkness. Rockefeller imagined oil fueling industries while others saw it as muck in the ground. Carnegie imagined steel shaping the skyline while others saw only iron too brittle to trust. Buffett imagines value where others see clutter. Solomon imagined order in a kingdom of chaos, and wealth flowed to him like rivers. This is the law. What you cannot imagine, you cannot build. What you refuse to see in your mind, you will never hold in your hand. But imagination must be guarded. That's why silence matters. Speak too soon of your vision and you weaken it. Mockers will sneer, doubters will poison, and your own pride will burn the fuel before the fire is lit. Imagination must be incubated like an egg. It must be guarded like treasure. It must be fed with thought, with faith, with persistence, until it hatches into reality. Here are the cowboy truth. Before you build a ranch, you must first picture it. Before you drive your cattle across the land, you must imagine the trail, the rivers, the mountains. The rider who cannot see the route in his mind will never find it in the land. The same goes for wealth. If you cannot imagine it clearly, the numbers, the work, the shape of it, you will never find it in the world. But beware. Imagination without discipline is just drifting. Too many men imagine castles in the clouds and never lay a stone. Their imagination becomes a drug, feeding them false joy without the pain of labor. True imagination must end in decision, must flow into discipline, must persist through storms. Only then does it bear fruit. Think of imagination as the blueprint. You wouldn't build a house without a plan. You wouldn't drive cattle without a map. You wouldn't march an army without strategy. Imagination is that map, that plan, that strategy. The clearer it is, the stronger the work. The vaguer it is, the weaker the results. So what must you do? You must train your imagination. You must give it exercise as a cowboy trains his horse. Feed it books, feed it stories of great men, feed it wisdom from those who built before you. Then put it to work. Sit in silence each day and imagine in detail what you will build, how it will look, how it will serve, how it will grow. The clearer the vision, the stronger the pull. And here are the laws Solomon would have told you. Guard your heart, for from it flows the issues of life. Your imagination is the heart of wealth. Guard it, feed it, direct it, and it will pull the world to you. But never forget, imagination without action is rot. Do not let yourself drift on dreams alone. Once the vision is clear, act. Once the blueprint is drawn, build. Once the trail is seen, ride. Imagination is the spark, but persistence is the firewood, and discipline is the flame that keeps it burning. When you look back, you'll see that every step of wealth began in imagination. The barns you fill, the herds you raise, the towers you build, the fortune you guard, all of it lived first in the invisible before it ever stood in the visible. That, the secret most men never see. That why they live small, they never dared to imagine large. So here is the law written clear. Imagine boldly, guard it in silence, feed it with patience, act with discipline, persist through storms, and wealth will follow. For the world is clay and imagination is the mold. He who imagines greatly and then builds upon it commands riches. And when the rain stops, when the fire dies low, and your children ask you how you carved your fortune, you'll smile and tell them, I saw it here first in my mind long before the world could see it. I imagined it until it had no choice but to appear.